Happy Monday. Hope you are all well. Had an amazing week last week. It was Thanksgiving week, and I hope that you had an amazing time with your family. And we're in the final stretch for December and final part of the quarter here. And just out of curiosity, how many of you are, you get online leads or have an online presence? Just a show in the chat, let us know. How many of you are already doing online ads of any kind or looking to up your branding on social media? Google. Good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon. That's right, not good morning.
It's afternoon in some places and morning in others.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world.
That's what makes it exciting, right? Hi, Rebecca. You're not alone. You're with your buddy today.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, I'm excited about today's Gap call because it's going to be how to up your presence online with SEOs. And our speaker today is an amazing guy. I've known him for many years. He is an award-winning broker out in Milwaukee. And he was also the founder, past president of Milwaukee, NAREP Milwaukee. And he's here today to kind of kick off our meeting and share with you a little bit about how to up your brand on social media using SEOs.
I'm super excited to have Pedro here as well. And guys, before we kick it off to Pedro, I just want to say something Rebecca said. This is the last quarter, but guys, 2025 is already here. It's already started. Who you're showing properties to, the contracts that you're writing, the closings are happening in January, February, March. Just already switch your mindset. 2024 is gone. What you do in 2024, the remainder of the year, is how you start your 2025, as we know. And I just want you to just accept this amazing truth and gift that change is so good when it comes to you learning new skill sets and sometimes getting into your getting out of your comfort zone. And I love that Pedro's here and he's going to talk about something that perhaps you've tried, you've dabbled in, and maybe you just haven't mastered. But today you have the opportunity to learn from an expert that is crushing it, right? And we know that omnipresence and social media presence and CEO presence is so powerful. To the point that we were on a call earlier today that Leo said that Gary Vee mentioned in one of his one of the podcasts that he was listening to this week. And he says, in 3 years, you probably will not search on Google ever again. You know, in 3 to 4 years, that's what is being projected. But what's interesting is these new platforms, right, will still have the power behind the presence that you have today online. So what you're building today is for the future. And I want you guys to prepare yourself as you learn today from Pedro that you're playing the stacking game. You're playing the stacking game. Your online presence is going to prepare you to lead into the future, whether people search on TikTok, Instagram, Google, ChatGPT, whatever new tools are going to be out there. It's based on what you're going to start doing today. So even if you might feel a little late to the game, I want to let you know you are not. You are on time because you're ready to embrace a new pillar of your business or go deeper with your business. I promise I'll wrap up with this because I'm just so excited to hear from Pedro. But yesterday at church, it was funny. Our pastor said something about, are you a disciple or are you a drifter? And it made me think about also our businesses. Like, are we just passing by or are we all in? Right? Are we all in on our business? And it made me think, like, I feel like I've been a drifter in certain parts of my business, but you have the opportunity to decide that I'm going to be an expert. I'm going all in. I'm going to do the things that make me feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm laying a foundation that I know that in order for me to be successful in this business, I have to be able to dominate in my presence and be an expert that stands out amongst all the noise, right? And Pedro's going to show you how. Pedro, thank you for being here today, for being the leader, preparing everyone probably for the most important part of their business for next year, my friend. So the spotlight is yours.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, good afternoon. Para los que English, Spanish mix.
Rebecca? We'll try to stay with English as possible. And then if you got to throw a little Spanglish in there, we can handle it.
All right, perfect. Bueno, let's get right into this. I'm glad Veronica touched on that because the way I'm ending this presentation has to do with what she just mentioned. So without any more preambles, let me share my screen into the presentation I have for you guys. Let's see how I do this. Okay, all right. Can everybody see my screen?
It
See?
looks black
All right.
right now.
It's queuing right now. It's queuing up. Your shared screen is not fully visible yet, but it shows you're starting it.
Says it's pause. Um, can you guys see it?
No, but maybe if you undo it and then redo it again,
Yeah, I'm on
sometimes
it
that
right.
works.
Perfect. All right. How about now?
Nope. We're still in the same dark screen.
Oh, that's weird. Let me stop the share and let me try it again. Perfect.
Says double click to enter full screen mode. That's what it shows on our end. And if anything, if you want to send it to me or Rebecca, we can maybe try on our end and you can
Yeah, let
tell
me
us when to the next slide.
yeah, let me share the link. Well, can you guys see
Oh,
it?
there we're in. You're good. You're good. You're good.
All right. I don't know what, I'm sorry guys. I don't know what happened there. All right. So, how to dominate SEO locally, and generate organic calls, from hot leads, right? That's what we want, right? We want people calling us. We want that inbound business. So let's look at our foundations. This is a class that I have for my group, and I'm sharing with you guys. So before the end of 2024, which is already gone, like Veronica said, let's look at our foundation, and I'm going to explain you why. Let's look at our Facebook, and let's do some maintenance. Okay, your about section has to be on point. What do you do? Your title, company you work for, your Instagram, thing. Make sure your bio state what you do, your location, your brand, your Google profile, name, address, service area, what you do, reviews, which is very important. All right. With that said, let's look at, for instance, at this Facebook, right? This is my Facebook profile, right? It says realtor at the beginning of my name. There's a reason for that. All search engines and smart AI out there, they all crawl social media because they need to gather data. They need to have data stored in order for have the answers for everything. Okay. See how my company name is at the end, right? I'm telling the world I am a realtor with a specific company. Whoever crawls through Google, through Facebook in this case, is going to save that. Okay, there's absolutely no question about that, right? If we look at our, at my Instagram page, same thing, right? What I do, national board member with NAREP. So whoever is in the NAREP network is going to identify, what I do for the organization right away. Okay, award-winning realtor through NAREP as well. Okay, my broker with the firm. Okay, founder for NAREP Milwaukee. So it doesn't matter which space you're dabbling in. You're coming from. You understand who I am and what I do, right? And then that Linktree URL is very important. Why? I'm sure there's other services out there and whatnot. I think you guys have one specific to XP, but every time you share something on Instagram, you can't really post the link, right? So you need an easy way for users to find it. So if it's a new listing that you're putting out there, you want people to be able to find it. What we typically see is link in bio, right? Make it easy for people to find what you're posting out there. Okay, and then you have the highlights, in the bottom. If somebody wants to get a little bit more personal and find out a little bit more about you and what you do, that's why you have those highlights there for. I got my for sale listings. That's not for me to get more buyers. It's not for me to, to sell my listings through, my online channels, every listing, guys, is an opportunity to get more listings. I want other sellers to see this and see, oh, you know, I like what he's doing. Because if I'm ever competing with someone else and they're doing research on me, I want them to trust what I have to offer. Okay.
Pedro, can I
What?
interrupt you really quick? If you are
Yeah,
sharing
sure.
any other screen, the only thing we're seeing is the intro slide. So if you were sharing your Facebook or your Instagram, just so you know, we don't see it. Ahora sí. Perfect.
I don't understand what's going on. All right. So
It's okay.
this,
We roll with the punches.
all right. Thank you, Veronica, for letting me know. So the previous slide was showing, you know, my Facebook and how, you know, realtor is it's the beginning of my name, right? And the company it's at the end, right? And then we were talking about Instagram. So it shows everything, right? Highlights again, the 4 sales. It's not to sell these listings and get buyers. It's to leverage into getting more sellers, guys. Okay. What I do within NAREPs, you know, tips. Again, I'm not expecting to get, you know, people to message me through stories and whatnot regarding the tips that I'm posting. All of this should be combined to build trust out there.
Yeah, you go. There you
Office
go.
and hobbies. Okay. So if you're gonna get a little bit more personal with what you do, right, on your daily basis or your hobbies and whatnot, you can add that personal touch to it so that they understand you are a human being just like them. That link tree, and or whatever service you use, right? Make it easy to understand, right? If somebody clicks on it, we want it to be as user friendly as possible. Being consistent, it's extremely important. You see how the colors match through all these profiles? That's extremely important for them to find consistency everywhere they go, as far as what you have out there. Why? Because not only the user, but AI and all these data banks are collecting information about you. They even know the code for the color that you're using. The more consistent you are, the more these systems are going to understand and save who you are, okay, in your career and whatnot. If what you're offering is for sale listings, make sure those links are at the top, just like in this one. Make sure that what you do, right, out there would be easier to understand when it comes to, you know, this link tree or whatever service you guys use for links and whatnot. Last but not least, okay, secret that nobody talks about, because most of us have, how can I say this, the development, quote unquote, tech knowledge, but not the networking and how things work in the back end. And one of the main things, guys, it's the URLs. And some of you might be like, you know what is he talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Whoever types my name on Google, Yahoo, AOL, whatever search engine, there's gonna be no mistake about who the search engine it's showing. There's not gonna be another Pedro in Tennessee or another Pedro in Florida or another Pedro in California. Why? Because my URLs are the same all over. They all say the same thing. There's no room for mistake, guys. So if I have Milwaukee Realtor as a Facebook, you know, username, and then I have an Instagram, I have, you know, Realtor of the area or something like that, there's no consistency. We cannot leave room for questions when it comes to this AI systems and whatnot, which, by the way, AI has been around for the longest, right? The machine learning aspect of it. So in order for Google to be able to serve the right Pedro, Google have this data somewhere, guys. And it gets more complicated, and we're going to get a little bit into that. But the data is somewhere. They're not just coming up with the data and saying, oh, you know, I found a Pedro in Milwaukee, here you go. No, they have that. That's why they're able to be so fast when it comes to the results and whatnot. So make sure, you know, all your domain names match. You know, if you want to, I'm assuming most of you have your websites, right? Whatever domain name you have in that website should be you. should be your name. Why? Because we're already telling with social media what you do and who you are. There's no need to say MilwaukeeMegaHomes.com because it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what I do, but it has nothing to do with me. So if I ever have a seller, I'm sorry, that see me on social media and they want to find more about me and they go and Google me, they're not going to find me because my domain name is MilwaukeeMegaHomes.com. Has nothing to do with me, guys. Leverage your company brand to create yours. It shouldn't be a competition. Leverage. When I started, I was with a local company in Milwaukee called Shore West. So it was Pedro at Shore West. I leveraged the brand, right? Then I went to Century 21 affiliated, at the time, the largest Century 21 in the world. And I leveraged it. And I had a little team and I still leverage the brand. Leverage your brand because you have national strength. And you have leaders like Rebecca and Veronica who are killing it out there, right? Who are mega influencers. Leverage that. So before the end of the year, you're going to go through all these social profiles. And if you have to change your domain name to match all of these, please do so. Okay. You should be, taking notes for that. Now, let's talk about Google. Okay. And how to actually generate these calls. First of all, if you don't do what I'm saying, you're probably not going to show up. And if you show up, you're going to have to pay for it. Okay. So with that said, when someone searches for a bilingual realtor in Milwaukee, if I'm not the first, I'm going to be the second, okay, or third. And I'm competing with my own agents because this is what I'm trained them on. Okay. You have to, absolutely have to have a Google profile. Whoever has one, you probably noticed a year, maybe 2 years ago, that Google eliminated the Google profile app. And whatever changes you make to your Google profile now, can somebody have an idea of why? Well, it's called user experience, because Google wants to be able to keep being the leader, of course, right? And they want to be able to serve information that their users are asking for. So if you have a Google profile, it's because you have a business, right? And you should have a location somewhere, right? So if somebody opens up their phone and they're looking for something, Google wants to be able to show them, here, this is where you go. Tap the navigation button and it will get you there, right? And because of user experience, you must have your profile on point. Again, the realtor in front of my name, right? My brokerage at the end of my name. There's no confusion there. Google has the data stored and could say, oh, it's the same Pedro that's on Instagram that says he's in Milwaukee. It's the same Pedro that's in Facebook that says he's in Milwaukee, right? It's the same Pedro that's in PedroAndoRivera.com that, shows that he does real estate in Milwaukee. This must be the right guy in Milwaukee. I get anywhere from 10 to 15 phone calls organically out of the blue for people looking for my services, okay? Mostly investors. In the past 2 months, I've closed with the same investor from Dubai, which, by the way, sent me $100 tip for Thanksgiving, 3 properties. And I'm not physically in Milwaukee right now. I had the time to take the call. I treated them with white gloves. I assigned them to one of my agents, 3 properties in less than 60 days, guys, because I answered the phone. So yes, your phone is going to be exposed to a lot of people driving you crazy every day, right? But it's the nature of our business. Answer the phones, okay? In the same Google profile, you're already feeding the information. You're telling Google, this is who I am in Facebook. This is who I am in Instagram. This is who I am in YouTube. Leave no room for mistake, guys. Because if you do, you're not going to get the results you want. Okay. And SEO start for search engine optimization. It's a process. It's not something we do today. It's a process. Every time you have a closing, upload it to that Google profile. right? Upload it to your social media profiles and whatnot. But most importantly, your Google profile. Why? Because people don't go to Instagram for look for realtors, right? When your name gets referred and it's ID, right? We talk a bit about this personality, that person's gonna research you before doing business with you, and you want them to get a sense for what you do and for who you are. And the only reason you're able to do that, it's by being organic with what you do. Most of us, Krista Masher, she's actually with EXP2, a coach, will say, stop aiming and start shooting, right? We all get caught in the, oh, it doesn't look good. Oh, I don't think it's the right content. Oh, I don't think it's the right. Just be you. Just be organic. There's no reason to showcase somebody that you're not, because guess what? And it had happened to me before, right? I know people that I thought because of their social media, they were great individuals. And not that they're not, but they're not what they showcase online. You don't want to be that. Okay. It's going to hinder your growth. If I'm looking to buy a property, I don't know, in a college town in Indiana, and that's the market that you serve, and all I see on social media, it's excitement and closings and whatnot, and all of a sudden I call you and you're like, hello, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into, right? In my case, I always answer their phone. It's a great day, Arita, Pedro speaking. How can I assist you? Even my personal phone, guys, because you don't know who's in that other side. I mean, not everything it's like I said, right? You putting your phone out there is going to ring a lot, right? And again, you see these numbers and scammers and whatnot, and it kind of gets to your nerve. But you shouldn't let that hinder getting an extra 15 to 20 transactions a year just by doing what you're supposed to be doing anyways. Okay. This is from this is the interactions from my business profile since July. And I was changing this last night. And I realized I could show more, like the calls and the actual clicks to the websites and whatnot. But it was already too late. Out of these 269 calls, guys, like I think it was like 82 were phone calls. Okay. Imagine that. Let's say most of it is spam, but I don't think spammers go to Google to just call people. Okay. So I'm a broker. I don't have anything out there that says I'm open for business, right? My job is to make sure that my agents are doing that, and I'm still getting all these interactions. Why? Because all my presence out there is consistent. Okay. The next topic that goes with this, I don't want to hold you guys later, whatever, but it's your website. Okay. Whatever you do on your website, make sure it's clear and concise. If you are in a college town in Indiana, then make sure that at the top in the hero section, okay, college town, ketchup, real estate, and whatnot. Who do you want to work with? Every coach is going to ask you the same question. Who's your target audience? Spend time figuring that out, because until you do, you're not going to be able to tailor your business to attract that. I hate working with investors personally, but I've learned a way to set expectations up front. Why? Because everybody want to call themselves an investor because they're buying their first investment, right? But it's still not a technical decision. It's still an emotional decision. So guess what? I don't show them any properties unless we meet first and I understand what their goals are. And I turn people down. I said, you know what? I don't think I'm the right agent to help you, because that's not how it works. Okay. You want a 15, 16% cap rate? I don't think I'm the right agent to help you find that because I value my time. I mean, I don't tell them that I value my time like that. I'm telling you that I choose my clients because I value my time. So whatever you put on your website has to be on point with what your business goals are. Otherwise, none of this is going to work. You have to absolutely know who you want to work with. Is it first-time home buyers? Okay, what type of first-time home buyers? Okay, people with newborns, just married. I have an agent at the office that she used to work for a little wedding, one of those people you hire to manage the day of your wedding planner. Okay, and I said, wait, what? Okay, you used to work doing that? Why you just don't focus on that, right? Go back to your old boss and strike a deal or whatever. You have your business like right there. Lots of people get married every year. And in an area with 4 seasons like mine, it's every summer it's busy. That means that every fall you're gonna be busy. Every summer you go to downtown to the art museum and whatnot, and there's weddings like every single weekend. If you can capture some of that business, you're gonna have great falls, amazing falls, right? So guys, with that said, this was it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via Instagram and whatnot, or any social media profile out there, to be honest, and I'll be more than happy to answer. If you don't want to answer, not, I don't know if we have time, Rivera, Veronica, for Q&A.
Yes, let's do it. Let's have some Q&A. I know I saw some questions in the chat, and I want to invite you all to raise your virtual hand if you want to ask your question out loud. We'd love to feature you, highlight you here. But I did see one of the questions in the chat, Pedro, and thank you for this. I feel like it was very short and concise, but a very clear message that we all need to kind of go back and audit our social media, our website, and make sure that we have everything, the branding is clear down to the colors. And you're right now, AI is scouring through the internet. So what we're showing, if there's like a confusion of who we are, it's not really going to pick us up, right? So one of the questions here was, do you use because you mentioned you pick up calls.
I actually thought about it and I don't. And I think because I didn't start with one, I might as well not do it now because my number is everywhere, right? But if you don't have all these on lockdown, I will start with a smart number and probably one without those disclaimers, right? So I don't know what type of CRM you guys use, but I use Follow Up Boss and they don't have any announcements when you call my phone number. So if you have the capability of doing that, right, do it. So yeah, you can have some segregation in your life.
I love that. Okay. And somebody wanted to see your Google profile, but it's in Maps now, I think. I don't know how that
I mean,
looks.
you can go to Google, you can type, Realtor Pedro Rivera, Milwaukee, or Milwaukee, Malengo Realtor, Milwaukee Pedro Rivera, and it's gonna show up right away.
Okay. I see another question here in the chat. Pedro, any advice for those of us that have complicated name for our target audience?
I would
Complicated
love
name. Is that on pronunciation?
I would love to know what that target audience is. And you can
Yeah.
message me in private if you don't want to disclose it, and I'm sure I
Yeah.
won't do it, but I'm not able to advise you if I don't know what I'm looking at. And by the way, guys, before I was in real estate, I was in the tech side of things, right? And IT is a very broad topic, but my bread and butter was coding. So apps, websites, networking, everything that happens in the back end. So when you combine that with real estate, trust me, I'm able to do a lot of things. So I'm not just talking about after seeing a seminar and whatnot. Any other
Yeah.
questions?
I saw another question here, or if someone mentioned KV Core provides a smart number at no additional cost. However, I have heard that free number often gets changed. So I don't think that I would use a smart number that you don't pay for or own, because it can be changed, and I think that'll throw off your branding, or somebody's going to call that wrong number somewhere, and you're going to miss a client. I think. What do you think about the Google number that you can get for free? Because that's associated to your email or your Gmail if you have one.
Yeah, to be honest, guys, I think the best, what I would do right now, and if I get the opportunity to do so, would be to get a second SIM card and own it. Because what happens when you change some of these systems is you don't get to keep the number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
you
I
want a
would
number
have
that's
one
going to stay with
electronic
you.
SIM card. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else want to jump in?
I see a question here, and it's an amazing question.
Okay.
Would you advise to use your own built website or one that our broker provide us? Okay. My advice. Okay. Rebecca asked me for, or her assistant, right? Asked me for, my picture and my bio and whatnot, to show you guys who you guys were listening to, right? I didn't have to type it. I went to my website, I went to my About Me section, and I sent the link, right? I recently moved, guys, and I'm not in my office right now and whatnot. Apologies for that if you hear my kids and whatnot. We have an appointment later on today. But I didn't have to go into any documents or anything like that. It was in my website. Why? Because I keep up a website about me and my services that's not attached to my brokerage, right? If they want to see properties, then the link is for my brokerage, IDX system and whatnot. To answer your question, I would have my own website. Yes, definitely. If later on you guys end up changing services and go from Shine to KV Core or something like that, you don't lose all that, SEO that you build throughout the years, which is important. So I would absolutely keep my own. As far as builders, Union Street Media is my personal favorite when it comes to what I've seen they have built. But I think they're too expensive for what they offer. But I would adjust to your budget, and it doesn't have to be, nowadays everything is mobile, guys, right? So it doesn't have to be all that flashy. As long as it shows the information that you want to put out there, I think it will do it.
I love that answer, but also I think like for some people it's a little difficult to get their own websites. So I think if the KV Core one is the only one that you have, it's not a bad one to use, because
Yep.
it goes back to stop aiming, start shooting. Because if it's going to take
Yes,
you
100%.
forever to get your
Yes.
own website, then use what you have, because it's still going to work. And if you do have to change it in the future, there'll be some work involved, but you know what? It's also not that hard, because like, and we're personally revamping ours, moving it from one platform to another, but we're also copy pasting a lot of the information. Now you're right about the SEO tracking and all that stuff, but that I think it's on the domain, and this is like probably getting a little techie here. Is that attached to the domain or the website itself? How does that work? Because you're hosting it
KV
one
Core,
place, you have the domain.
yes. Yeah. So KV Core is a system in itself, right? And then your domain name is something else. When you buy your domain name, KV Core is going to provide you with instructions so that you can link these, right? So now Google, Yahoo, AOL, all these search engines are through that domain name are going to get to that KV Core and understand what you have to offer, right? But if you change systems and you go from KV Core to Shine and follow above, Real Scout, whatever, right? You're changing all that information to another information, and now search engines are not going to look at you as reliable. But like Rebecca said, stop aiming, start shooting. It's that what you have right now. Spend the time before 2025, master it, and then create a budget in 2025 so that you can start 2026 with it. Don't hinder your business because of it, guys. Work with what you have.
Absolutely. And I love that you were able to get that call from the investor. And I mean, that's huge. And I'm curious, because here's an issue that I come across, is the personal issue. I get calls all the time, and I don't brand anymore as a selling agent. So when I get a call, I'm actually a little skeptical. I'm
Yeah,
like, is it a scammer? I don't even want to
I
know.
know.
So
Yes.
I have a hard time responding to, I'm like,
So,
how did you get my number? That's what the thought I get
well,
in my head.
100%. And I feel your pain. So one of the first things you guys can do is register in the do not call list. I know a lot of people, including ourselves. Let me not go that way. I know a lot of people don't respect it, right? But when it's a scammer, once you ask a few questions, you're gonna realize, I don't know, this is too good to be true, and then you can ask a question. Hey, I'm curious. Who do I have to thank for? Who refer you? I would like to thank them, right? And depending on that answer, I'm like, hey, do you realize my number is in the no call list, right? And then boop, they hang up, right? Um, why? Because it's a $16,000 fine. So if you ever get an objection, let's say you by mistake call someone and they do not call list and they go that route, you can just apologize and tell them that it also expires, right? Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. Do you know that it expires? I can help you how to renew it. Let me send you these links, right? And you can turn around very fast. At least that it only happened like once in my whole career. And when I started, I was a heavy cold caller. So with that said, yeah, I wouldn't. I just ask the right questions. When they tell me, oh, they're investors and whatnot, I just ask, okay, what are your parameters? And I usually let them speak, and I will right away realize, if it's a scam or not.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'll tell you another experience that I had, and this is, I don't know if I'm the only one who's having these kind of things, but sometimes I'll get a text message and it just feels like somebody trying to sell me. And I answered like, I don't know, I'm not interested or something. And they're like, do you not know? And then they mentioned somebody that I actually know. And then I felt terrible how I responded to them. And I
You know why that
quickly
happens?
responded back. Was that?
Do you know
Or
why that
just
happens?
why?
Because we're salespeople too.
I know. We've been conditioned. And so I responded back in a way that I don't think it was that favorable, but I recovered it and just said, you know what, I'm sorry, I get a lot of scam calls. It then started to feel like a real call, but
Mhm.
don't be afraid to just kind of respond. If you realize that you've responded inappropriately to something, recover it. I mean, if it's a real call, they're going to make themselves know. Sometimes I'm always thinking I got but if it's not and you realize it's not, it's okay to just kind of say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I get a lot of scam calls, and people understand that too because they get scam calls. So we're in a day and age that it's kind of hard sometimes to identify who's real, who's not. And but those people who really want to transact, they're going to make themselves known. They're not just going to disappear easily either because they realize
Yeah,
what's happening. So do we have any
100%.
other questions? This has been an amazing call, Pedro. I just want to really thank you for this. And I also want to mention, because you had done a talk with NAREP and you had showed us how to create a GPT, a personalized GPT. And I was
Yeah.
like, I had heard about that, but I hadn't really understood or even looked into it at that moment. And immediately I went and started getting crazy creating all these GPTs, which you made it so easy for us. And so I really want to thank you because I feel like this was very easy for us to understand and go back and change up, what we have, tighten it up before the new year. And so that we can start getting, more business. So I really appreciate this. Anyone else have any calls before we end, or any questions before we end the call?
I do,
Hey,
Rebecca. I have one. Hi, Pedro. Thank you for being
hola.
here. Um,
You guys are welcome.
I see that. Thank you, and I'll make it quick. I see that you added your name on all the, how to look you up and all that stuff. What about your business name? Because my conflict is I have everything with the business name, and sort of below I put my initials and last name, but I don't have anything personal. And I see that a lot of our rock stars have personal and business, but on the same channel. Like I see let's say for instance, Rebecca, I think you have Rebecca and Legacy, and then you have like little personal stories, business stories, and all that good stuff. Should we combine, or how do we pull it all in? Because if we want to develop a team, I don't want to just promote myself. I would like to promote my team, like
Okay.
Veronica does with the Fig team, right?
How long have you been in business, Luz?
What's Peter?
Less,
What are we doing today?
less.
I'm sorry, we're getting mixed up.
That's okay. Pedro, I've been licensed for less than 2 years with EXP. EXP is my first brokerage, but I was in
Okay.
property management for 13 years, but
Okay.
licensed less than 2 years.
Okay, perfect. And you're with a great company, with a great group. So let me ask you, do you have a team right now?
I'm developing one, so I'm doing all the branding. I'm sort of putting it, just doing branding with myself, but under the team name. So when I add
Okay.
people, it's already established.
So this
And I
is
have
how
my
I
domain and all that good stuff. Mhm.
perfect. If I were to start again, this is how I would do it. Okay. And who other than Veronica herself, right? For you to mimic, right? You can essentially create what she have created. I wouldn't deviate from your name. I will brand myself because that's how other agents will want to work with you, for you, right? If I'm the type of agent that's generating, which I've been there, right? Hundreds of leads every month, right? And people are transacting with Pedro, right? These 3 people from Dubai are transacting with Pedro, not Pedro's team, right? Because I would want to make other agents work for you, Luz Roca team. It's your business at Luz Roca. That's what I said at the beginning. Leverage the name, right? It's Luz Roca with EXP Real Estate. It's not Luz Roca Realty with EXP Realty. It's way too confusing for people out there. And sometimes we get caught up in the ego aspect of the business, right? When we're doing good and whatnot. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you want to be in the selling aspect of things, I would just stick to my name, right? When we create brands, like this, like the Global Alliance, which is essentially, this mastermind group and whatnot, well, it has its own meaning. You get what I'm saying? But if at the end of the day, what you wanted to grow your sales business, I would just stick to your name.
I love that.
Okay.
So,
Got it. Thank you. I'm sorry, Rebecca.
thank you, Didi. No, that's okay. And I wanted to add to that too, because that Josh and I brand together. So our website is Soto Legacy Group. So the question would be, should we also have RebeccaSoto.com and JosueSoto.com? And
No, because that's why I asked her how long she's been in business, though. It's clear, if you have a track record already and you have a book of business and referrals and whatnot, that'll be totally fine, right? Because that'll be the next stage of your business, which is removing yourself from it, right? And that's totally perfect. And with the model that you guys have within EXP, I mean, it makes total sense, right? But in Lou's case, right, starting out and wanting to start a team and whatnot, this is me, Pedro, I would do it with my name, right? You got Veronica, you got Krista, right? Gogo and whatnot. They're, it's their name and whatnot. I would.
Makes sense, Pedro. This is Josue. How are you, man? Welcome.
Hey,
Thank you
man,
for being on. Hey, quick
you're very
question in
welcome.
reference to the website, though. What I did notice Rebecca mentioned is that we move our whole entire system out of KV Core. I don't use KV Core anymore. We build out our own website, and what I realized is the convenience of it, and it's a lot faster too, man. Mobile friendly, it's easier to control. You have full access of your website, and to me, that was the best move we ever did. I'll be honest with you. I'm running it like you and I had that conversation already, almost the same, So thank you for that, man. We had this conversation about 6 months ago, and it's actually
Very
working
welcome.
really well, man. That was great. That was a great idea that you gave me there, and it was amazing, man. So thank you for that, man. Appreciate it. And by the
You
way,
guys are very
you
welcome.
go for it tomorrow, man. Guys, let's congratulate Pedro. Tomorrow is his debate. He's running for national president of NAR for 2026.
Thank you. Thank you.
that's
Thank you.
amazing. That's amazing.
Thank
Praying
you.
that you get that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
I
Violeta has a
wanted
question.
Violeta, okay.
Hi, Pedro. How are you? Nice to see you.
Hola. Likewise.
Nice seeing you. So I have a question regarding the name. I'm a realtor and a lender. I've been in the industry for a while, so I've kind of struggled with this whole name thing. So my Facebook has my name, My Instagram has my name, but then my username is different. So I try to make it kind of like homes, which applies to both, right? It would be real estate and lending. So what do you recommend for me in that case? What do you think I should keep it at?
I see. I'm wired for the real estate side. I'm not too sure about the lending guidelines and rules, and you got your RESPAs and whatnot. But I would, if it's allowed, I would use that same name for both though. And run it like a kind of like a one-stop shop type of thing. I mean, again, right, with RESPA rules and whatnot, I don't think you can be involved in the same FHA transaction, right? So
No,
it's
you can.
you
I
can.
think they recently changed that.
There's ways around that, but
Okay,
yeah,
all right. Then I mean, don't overcomplicate it. Let's just use the same name for both businesses and call yourself a one-stop shop.
So I have my name. So it appears as my name, but then the username, should I make it my name? Is that what
So
you're referring to? Like I say on Instagram. Because it shows
yes.
my name, but then the
Mhm.
username, you could change it to something else.
That
So should I?
username is gonna be the URL. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning, right? That nobody
Okay.
really talks about that, but that username converts into the URL for Instagram. So in order for you to have like a no doubt type of thing of who you are with search engines and whatnot, I think you might want to be consistent with that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you so much.
To
And
see you.
congrats.
Thank you.
And I'm looking at Evelyn, who had a question earlier about the name. She just specified. So she is French, has a French last name, and her website is evelynwillette.com. The spelling of Willette is not, for English speakers, very obvious. So I think the question was, is it good for her to use her name when it's hard to pronounce, or does it throw people off, is what I'm guessing that she might be alluding to. What are your thoughts on that?
If you were referring her to me, one of the first thing I will say is, can you send that in a text?
I'm right here. Yeah, I'm right here.
Hi, Evelyn.
Thank
Oh,
you, Rebecca.
hi.
Okay.
Thank you, Pedro. This is awesome.
Thank you. So one of the first things, when that happens, right, and you have a confusing name like that, people usually ask for the spelling of it, or hey, sending in a text, I want to mess it up, yada yada yada, and then more than likely that's going to translate into copying from the text and pasting it in Google and whatnot. So I will definitely still use my full name.
Okay, good. That's what I've been doing. So thank you so much for that. And Evelyn, usually people don't put an E at the end. Mine has an E. And I'd love to make it easy for my targeted audience, but it's my
I will
name.
give you another tip. I will give you another tip. But okay, those are called negative keywords. Okay. I'm assuming everybody has a website because you guys have KV Core, right? So any image that you use in your website, download it to your computer and rename them. Rename the actual file. Because in the code that search engines are reading when you go to your website, they don't see how nice it is. They just see the code, right? And in the code, there's going to be a file name with that negative keyword, right? And then there's something called alt tag. So I'm sure when you upload an image, it asks you for a caption or an alt, which is alternate text for when the image doesn't load. You can use these negative keywords too. They're not gonna be visible to the user. That way, Google can create like, oh, okay, yeah, it's the same Evelyn. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that existed. And Pedro, I had an idea when Rebecca, you asked about, your website or Soto Legacy with Josh and all that. Maybe one thing I've done is I bought some URLs that all point to my website, first name, last name, evelynwillette.com. So for example, like selling Redondo Beach, selling.com, selling, like all the websites like selling in the area. And first reason is I did not want the competitors to have those URLs. So that's why I got them. I kind of blocking it. But also like, anyways, having them just redirected to my website name, like Pedro, you suggested. So I don't know if it's a silly idea, but at least I feel like I'm covered because other agents are not buying those URLs.
I own many URLs as well.
Okay.
There's something Okay, so Google penalizes for duplicated content. So for anybody out there with ideas of, oh, I'm just gonna recreate my website, 10 different times with 10 different URLs, okay, you're gonna get penalized. You're gonna be looked as a scammer and whatnot. The way you're doing it, you just gotta make sure that in your main website you have canonical URLs tags, and you can use you can email KB Course as what you have and tell them that you have canonical URLs. That way your main website does not get affected.
Great, thank you.
You are very welcome.
Awesome. This is
Any other
awesome.
questions?
Any other questions? Well, this has been an amazing episode, and thank you
Hi.
for answering all of our questions. I feel like we had a lot of great questions on this call, lots of
Yes.
engagement. And so we thank you. Thank you for this. We're praying for you that you'll
Thank you.
get the votes that you need to become that national president. That is so exciting.
Thank you. I invite everybody who hasn't been to a national event to try us out. You don't have to be Latino to be part of it. And it's one of the best business decisions I've done in the last 6-7 years, guys. Thank you for having me. If you haven't had the opportunity, just go network. You do this right at at a personal level, private level. Go to dinners with people that are killing it too, and learn from everybody. That's where the value is. Spend that money. Go. Be a handshake hero at these events and learn from other people that are in the industry.
I love that. Be a handshake hero. I know that NAREP has been life-changing for us, just for all the years that we've been involved, and getting to meet amazing people like you and so many others, and just kind of seeing what everyone else is doing in other markets that's winning. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. Everyone, thanks for being here. You all have an amazing, powerful week.
Thank you. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye, everyone.